I want to ask you your opinion on the value of first-round picks. Again, I think Niner fans are at the point where they're like, you know what? Why are we hoarding these picks so we can just draft the next Mike McGlinchey / Solomon Thomas / Reuben Foster? Really, are they that valuable? Because the Rams don't seem to think so. And look at them. They have superstars. So what's going on?
First-round picks are actually very valuable. If you look throughout the league and on NFL rosters, the majority of the rosters and your best players are first-round picks. I mean, we all have this notion, I think, that first-round picks can bust, but the majority of them don't necessarily bust. They're not. They might not necessarily end up being superstars, but they're on rosters and they end up being good players. I remember particularly in Walsh's book, Finding the Winning Edge, when he talks about first-round picks, he actually talks about this and how there's you pick a guy in the first round and he's got to be like some superstar or whatever. No, really, he just has to be a player that contributes on your roster,
a starter.
Yeah, and if he contributes and can do something to improve your team that you need, then that's a successful pick. And I look back, I actually found a study by a guy that wrote on Forbes, and it was a study back in 2015, and back in 2014 from the 2014 NFL season, 30% of the league starters were first round picks, and then it went back, and then it went to the second round was 18%, and then the third is 12. Then if you talk about the percentage of guys are reaching the Pro Bowl status and where they're picked, 49% were picked in the first round.
What was that?
49% of guys that went in All Pro from 2002 to 2014.
49?
49.
Is it almost 50? Jeez.
Almost 50%. Now, I checked the roster this year for the All Pro guys this year, and 10 of the All Pro team this year were first round picks. So it does amount to about the same. I don't know I didn't do the percentage on it, but
10 of 22. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's about right. So first round picks are important, and then the other component
if you're missing on first round picks consistently, that says more about you than it says about the picks. Just throwing that out there.
Absolutely. And the other part of it is when you hit on a first round pick, when he's an All Pro and you get him for 5 years on his rookie deal, or I think you get 4 years, then you get the option. I think the option year actually ends up being
4 years, and that's this thing. Like the 5th-year option is nice, but any pick you get 4 years at cheap labor. Look at Kittle. Look at Warner. 3 years minimum before that extension. 3 years minimum.
Right.
Bosa.
Right.
Yeah.
And with that option year, it ends up being cheaper than giving the guy the contract. So that option year as a first round pick, it is important. That's why.
How many guys did the Niners have like that when they were in the Super Bowl last year? Let's just count. I mean,
Bosa, Buckner,
Armstead.
First round picks. They're all the D-line. Solomon
Armstead. Yeah, but I mean ones that mattered. Bosa, Buckner, Armstead, Kittle, Debo. I mean, I'm not gonna say McGlinchey. But I mean, the core of the team were guys on rookie deals, and now all those guys have been paid. It's a different team now.
Right. Greenlaw.
Yes, absolutely. Yep.
Mosley.
Yep.
Undrafted free agent.
Yep.
I can't remember. Was Ward was signed on a 1 year deal?
But he was on, but it was cheap. It was probably like a 1 year, $5 million deal. But yeah, still, Tart was cheap.
Tart was so, and if you're just talking about first round picks, those first was Armstead, Bosa, before Buckner.
Yeah,
those are three big names that were on their rookie deals. In that
plus Warner, plus Kittle, plus Debo. Right. I mean, that's 6 guys. That's the core of your team. 6 guys.
Yeah.
That's why they're in the Super Bowl. Really right there.
The draft and first round picks are important. First round picks do end up being the core of the best players in the NFL.
Here's how the NFL is set up. if you're bad enough, you get to draft in the top 5 or 10 every year. And if you're not horrible at drafting, you'll just end up with a good team eventually.
Yeah.
Look at Cleveland. Look at the Niners. Look at Jacksonville. I mean, it happens. As long as you're not just terrible at drafting, you get a good team.
As long as you don't take the Solomon Thomases of the world, then you're good. Now, if you want to talk about quarterbacks, there's a higher bust rate with quarterbacks, but when you're talking about other players, not really.
And why is the bust rate higher at quarterback?
What?
Why? I can tell you why.
Go ahead. Go
because teams are reaching.
Yeah, I think that to me, I think it's just quarterbacks. It's just so much that goes into that position. It's just so it's
to me, it's like these teams like I need a quarterback. It's the most important position. I need a quarterback. This guy kind of looks like a franchise guy. I'm going to inflate the draft grade to whatever, because he's a quarterback. I need him. And this guy's an inside linebacker who would necessarily probably be better than him, but inside linebacker. That's the way I look at it.
That probably plays into it. I just think it's just a difficult thing that it's really so difficult to scout. I mean, you can scout the physical ability at certain abilities, but other things can be more difficult, a lot more difficult.
True, because so much depends on offensive line, their playmakers, and the scheme, the play calling. It's like you guys just executing what he's being asked to do. Do you want him to go off script and have a better? It's like there's only so much a guy can do. Certain,
yeah.
You know what I mean?
And look at, for instance, like we have different opinions on Zach Wilson. Like when you look at a guy at Zach Wilson, how is he really translate? You say, okay, well he plays and he hardly gets pressured. So he doesn't play against top competition. So how is that going to translate? Then you look at a guy like Mac Jones in Alabama, like he's got the best weapons in, the discrepancy between his weapons and the next team's weapons, it's pretty massive. So then he's not going to have that big discrepancy in the NFL when he jumps to the NFL. So like, how is he going to adjust to that? Like, how does that play out? Like,
Agree.
How I don't think they gave
so hard. It's so hard. There's so many questions and variables and things you got to look at. Like we haven't even gotten into the physical characteristics. How do you throw down the field? How do you throw left? How do you throw right? What is your touch like? All this like a million. Can you run? Can you see the field? How do you operate in the pocket? Can you extend a play? And then there's all this other stuff on top of it. What was your supporting cast? What was the level of competition? How much experience do you have? What was the system you were in? It's just like, how smart are you? Like all this stuff that go into it is very, very different.
How much work are you going to put in? Are you going to be on that? Are you going to be in the playbook all the time, or are you going to like blowing your money?
Are you going to be the kind of guy who changes when you get money? Are you going to be the kind of guy who changes when you get fame? No one knows.
Yeah, you don't. You
don't know. Yeah.
They can scout the physical tools. I mean, if you look at it, the majority of the starting NFL quarterbacks are first-round picks. So the NFL knows what they're looking for, but there's just an intangibility that it's very difficult to scout that you can't. Now,
they're kids. We forget that. They're kids.
And as the years go by, like we might start seeing a lot of success. Like we've talked about before, how the middle of the field is open. I think the door's open for rookie QBs to have a lot more success. And your whole philosophy of drafting a guy and then letting them walk might end up working. And as
seems to me that every year there's more and more rookie quarterbacks who step in and are at least average starters. So why are you paying Jimmy Garoppolo money for average when you can get it, on a rookie deal pretty easily?
I think so. If they can find the guy, let's be honest. It shouldn't be that difficult if they had the exact same roster from their Super Bowl year and they were able to put in a version of Jimmy Garoppolo that could actually throw the ball deep, they probably would win the Super Bowl. But you're not,
or just a quarterback who doesn't totally freaking melt down in the fourth quarter of the biggest game of his life with a 10-point lead. I mean, that's all. I mean, if you could hit the pass to Emmanuel Sanders, that'd be great. But there were so many other plays along the way that he could have made that would have made that. So many.
Without a doubt. I was watching some of your video yesterday with Anthony, and I think there was a play where Jimmy audibles and he throws a slant, but if he looked there, the bubble, there's a guy running a bubble route wide open.
Good call.
Didn't even look. Didn't even look.
And again, in that situation, Jimmy, you should know, like, the whole idea is keep the clock freaking moving. I know you think you can hit this throw over the middle, but you should be looking for handoffs and extended handoffs here, buddy, especially because you're 2 for 11 right now.